So many of you may have noticed that at our website we have this tagline underneath the name of our company. It says 4 out of 5 of our clients stop pulling after just their very first session with us. Now, on the face of that, that sounds like pretty much an outrageous claim. We understand that. Statistically, though, that's been the case. But here's the thing we want to talk about today. While it is true that many of our clients come in here and stop pulling after just their very first session, and a huge percentage of them is something we're really, really proud of, we don't necessarily have a requirement for that. It's not 4 out of 5 clients stop pulling after their first session because we work so hard to make sure that that happens, or that we're that attached to that kind of a statistic. It's just that that's how it turned out over the years. Statistically, those are the numbers, all right? But there's that other 1 out of 5, and then the question has to be, well, what about that 1 out of 5? Does your program just not work for some people? And no, it's not really that. I mean, every once in a while you get somebody for whom our program is just not right. Fortunately, that percentage is very, very small. But typically that other 1 out of 5, while they may not have stopped pulling entirely after their very first session, they're pulling much, much less, like 90% less. Right away. Okay, so it takes them a few more weeks or whatever it might be to get all the way to the other side of this. And now you know why our program is typically 90 days in length, not just 1 session or 2 sessions in length. But here's the idea. Every once in a while you get a client who's doing really, really well for a long period of time. In fact, we just had a client like this, 13-year-old girl who'd been trick-free for the entirety of 2017. I think we started with her in November or December of last year. And boy, starting January 1st, and I think it had preceded even that, she was very, very proud of her progress. She'd gone almost 3 full months without pulling or picking at all, and this was huge for her and huge for her mom, who was very concerned about this. And that was great. We were all proud of her. She was proud of herself, as she should be. But then, she had a bad day. And she kind of returned to the tried and true, and she picked a couple of hairs out of her eyelashes, I think it was. And she was very upset and very disappointed and thought, wow, all that, didn't realize that all the progress she had made, everything she had accomplished during those 3 months were so meaningful. She forgot all about that and was down. She was crestfallen. Her streak had ended here, all that kind of thing. And we had to remind her that it's not about perfection. I mean, look at the tremendous progress she had made from pulling many, 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 many hairs every single day to pulling like none for all of 2017, and then she had a bad day and she pulled 1 or 2. It's about putting it in perspective. It's not about perfection. It's about, is there meaningful progress here? How much more time are you spending being free of this than you ever did before? And suppose you stop paying attention for a moment or two and you pulled 1 or 2. When we practice anything long enough, we start to get good at it. That's the way it is. It could be anything. If you play basketball every day for 5 or 10 years, you're going to get so good at it, you can jump up and take a shot, and you're so good at it, the ball just go in because you become what we call unconsciously competent. Pulling can be the same way. If you've been pulling for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, you can find yourself doing it, and next thing you know, you pull all these hairs and you weren't even aware you were doing it. Why? Not because you have something, but because you become unconsciously competent you practice it so much, you're so good at it, sometimes you do it without even knowing you're doing it. So it feels like it's out of your control, but maybe it's not really. So bottom line here, really the message here for today is that it's not about perfection, it's about making progress. Just because you have one off day doesn't mean everything else you've accomplished doesn't mean anything. In fact, it just means that you're human, and that perfection is a very, very hard thing to aspire to. I got to say, we've worked with a lot of young people who are students, and and even a lot of adults who are self-proclaimed perfectionists. And boy, talk about putting yourself in a box that's hard to stay in. When your expectation is to be perfect at everything, anytime any one thing falls off, then a lot of people make that about themselves, like they're imperfect, like they couldn't measure up, that kind of thing. But to try to be perfect at something all the time, there's a lot of pressure to that. Now, people don't consciously decide they want to do it that way. It's just this habit they've gotten into. But think of the pressure and therefore the stress that goes into maintaining perfection. You know, if you get 97 or 98 or 99% on your test, like that wasn't good enough. Or if everything in your house isn't arranged just so. That's a tremendous amount of stress to live under. And in fact, you know, stress is a thing that for a lot of people makes them want to pull more. You see? So the perfection thing isn't really about that. In fact, Clay and I like to say the perfect way to be is to be perfectly human. And perfect, you know, human beings are going to make mistakes somewhere. They can't be perfect all the time. But what you can do is ask yourself, look, if I make a mistake, what is there to be learned from this? Because you're going to make mistakes. So you can either wring your hands and be upset about it and blame yourself and say nasty things to yourself about that, or you can ask yourself, because I'm human, I made a mistake, what is there to be learned from this so that I'm much less likely to make this kind of mistake in the future? And that's what it's all about, isn't it? Growth as a human being. So I hope you found this video helpful. I'm Robert Mantell. I'm the co-founder here at Trichotillomania Relief Specialists. If you want to leave a comment, please do. Go ahead and hit that reply button down there. Let us know what you think of the video. How does this apply to you? Does it help? Is it helpful for you? Let us know what kind of an impact it has on you. And feel free to visit any of our social media outlets. Our Facebook group is great. Go ahead and go over there and start a discussion or contribute to a discussion. That's what we really like. You know, we have a Twitter feed and a YouTube channel and all these other things, and great opportunities to learn a lot more about how you can begin to help yourself conquer this thing that a lot of people think isn't conquerable. But we're finding, you know, yeah, with the right guidance and a motivated client, yeah, good things can happen. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm Robert Mantell. Here's hoping you have an amazing trick-free week.